Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a quick vibe check on a very specific word.
Okay, a vibe check. I feel like I might know where this is going.
Yeah, it's a word that I think is, gone from being empowering to being
To being completely exhausting.
exactly, frankly exhausting. And that word is resilience.
Oh, yeah. It absolutely everywhere right now.
Right, like corporate retreat, resilience training, having a hard time with the news cycle. Just be more resilient.
It's become a bit of a weaponized term, hasn't it? It feels less like a trait and more like a demand.
A heavy demand. When I hear resilience, I always picture a guy in a giant suit of armor standing in the middle of a hurricane.
Just bracing for impact.
Right. He's getting battered. He's dented. He's incredibly heavy, but he's still standing. And honestly, that sounds miserable to me.
It implies that to be strong, you have to absorb the blow. You have to carry the weight of that impact everywhere you go.
But the deep dive today is totally flipping that idea on its head.
We are looking at a stack of sources that suggest true resilience shouldn't be about armor at all. It should be about cookware.
Cookware.
Specifically, non-stick cookware. We're talking about the concept of having a Teflon soul.
I have to admit, when I first saw the source material for this deep dive, I was a little skeptical.
Because of the format.
Yeah. I mean, we aren't analyzing a peer-reviewed paper from the American Psychological Association here, or some ancient Stoic philosophy text.
No, we're looking at a pop rock anthem.
The independent artist, Ti-Fi. The song is literally called Teflon Soul. And I was thinking, can a catchy 3-minute pop chorus really replace a therapy session?
On its own,
Right.
maybe not. But that is exactly why we aren't just looking at the lyrics in isolation.
We have a whole ecosystem of sources for this one.
Right. We have the official liner notes, which give us the musical and artistic context. And this is the really key piece. We have a transcript from Ti-Fi's companion show.
The Reclaiming You writer's room.
Exactly. And in that transcript, she essentially deconstructs her own song line by line. She uses it as a structured cognitive behavioral therapy tool.
She actually wrote the song as a manual, didn't she?
Explicitly. She refers to it as a blueprint for living.
Which is wild because you read the liner notes and they describe the track as having energetic drums and soaring harmonies.
It sounds like a really good time. Upbeat acoustic guitar, pop rock energy.
But then you read the writer's room transcript and realize it's actually a rigorous argument for emotional regulation and mental health recovery.
So let's get right into this central metaphor, the Teflon soul. The idea is that things, just slide right off.
Precisely. Think back to that armor metaphor we started with. The armor takes the hit. You feel the shockwave inside the suit.
And the armor gets permanently scratched.
But Teflon, the egg doesn't stick. The grease doesn't stick. It slides right off the smooth surface.
Ti-Fi argues that true resilience is non-reactive.
But wait, isn't non-reactive just a fancy way of saying numb or suppress?
That's a very common reaction.
Because if I'm Teflon, am I just ignoring my feelings entirely? Because that really doesn't sound healthy either.
That is a crucial distinction, and she addresses it directly in the transcript. She isn't saying you don't observe the event.
You still see the egg hit the pan.
Yes, but you don't let it bond to the metal. You don't absorb the damage into your core. It's about a lack of friction, not a lack of awareness.
She uses another metaphor in that breakdown that I found incredibly helpful to visualize the before and after states.
The pendulum.
Yes. She describes the unrecovered mind as a pendulum.
You are entirely at the mercy of gravity and momentum.
If something good happens, you swing wildly high to the right. But if something bad happens, like a flat tire or a rude email,
You swing violently back to the left.
you're constantly moving, but you aren't actually going anywhere. You're just reacting blindly to physics.
Right. And her goal with the Teflon concept is to stop that swinging. She wants to transition from being the pendulum to being what she calls the captain of the rising tide.
Captain of the rising tide. I really like that imagery.
The tide is still rising. The water is still choppy. Life is still incredibly messy.
But you aren't flailing around helplessly in the water anymore. You are steering the boat.
The waves don't stop, but the capsizing stops. That is the ultimate goal.
Okay, so let's see how this actually works in practice, right?
Right.
The song is structured like a series of stress tests.
Case studies in resilience.
Scenario 1 is what I like to call the micro-resilience test. And it's something that literally happened to me this morning.
The morning coffee test.
The lyrics go, just a morning coffee on my shirt.
It is the universal sign of a bad Monday. You're tired, you're rushing out the door.
And suddenly you have a massive brown stain right in the middle of your chest.
Now, the old narrator, the one stuck on the pendulum, has a very intense reaction to this.
The lyrics say, me would have treated it like major dirt, would have spiraled down called the day awash.
In the writer's room breakdown, Ti-Fi uses the clinical term for this. She calls it catastrophizing.
Let's unpack that a bit. Because catastrophizing feels like a really big word for just a coffee stain. What is actually happening in the brain in that moment?
It's a cascade effect. Physiologically, your body treats the annoyance like a literal physical threat.
You get that flush of heat in your face.
The sudden cortisol spike, yeah. But mentally, the real danger is that you're connecting the minor event to your core identity.
You aren't just thinking, hey, this is a stain.
No, you're thinking, I'm a clumsy idiot. I can't do anything right. The universe is actively punishing me today.
Today's going to be terrible. That's the calling the day a wash part. You've decided the next 12 hours are totally ruined because of a 2-second spill.
Exactly. You've taken a minor accident and turned it into a massive moral failing.
So how does the Teflon soul handle the exact same spill?
The next lyric says, prudence kicked in like a laser beam.
Now, I have to be honest here. Prudence is a word I associate with 19th century literature. It doesn't sound very rock and roll.
It sounds a bit dusty, doesn't it? But look at how she defines it. She calls it a laser beam. In this context, prudence isn't about being boring or prudish. It's a mental health superpower.
It's a cognitive interruption.
Exactly. It cuts the cord on the downward spiral. It stops the story you are frantically telling yourself.
The lyric right after is, say it's just a stain, it's not a fever dream.
That is prudence in action. It's the ability to pause, look down at the shirt, and separate the event from your identity.
You just check the facts. Fact, this is wet. Fact, it is brown. Fact, I am not dying.
I checked the facts, I checked the clock.
And then I laughed it off and walked around the block. That walk around the block feels really important to the process.
It is entirely necessary. It's about metabolizing the physical stress. She checked the facts, realized she wasn't in danger, so she physically moved her body to reset the nervous system.
The stain didn't stick to her mood. She might have cleaned the shirt, or maybe she didn't have time, but she didn't let it stain her soul.
So that's the minor league. Coffee stains are super annoying, but they don't break your heart.
Right. Scenario 2 in the song is where the difficulty setting gets cranked all the way up to expert.
The macro resilience test.
Verse 2. Walked into the party, saw my ex in the hall.
Oof.
Yeah. Big oof. This isn't just an inconvenience. This is deep history. This is emotional trauma.
And the physical reaction described in the song is incredibly visceral. Felt the panic rising, felt the urge to flee.
She is describing the fight, flight, or freeze response.
Yeah.
This is evolutionary biology taking the wheel.
Your brain sees the ex-partner, and your amygdala immediately screams, predator, danger.
It dumps adrenaline into your system to prepare you to either punch someone or sprint out the front door.
The lyrics explicitly mention those old coping mechanisms, run or start a brawl, or numb it out with a drink or a pill.
Avoidance or aggression. The standard pendulum swings we talked about.
But the narrator doesn't do either of those things, and this is where the Teflon toolkit gets really specific. She brings in another virtue, fortitude.
Fortitude whispered, "You're stronger than he."
Notice the whisper there.
Yeah, why a whisper? Everything else is so loud.
Because the adrenaline is screaming, the panic is deafening. Fortitude doesn't need to scream to be heard. It's that quiet, grounded internal voice that says, you are safe. You can handle this.
And notice the specific word choice. Stronger.
Not louder, not meaner. Stronger.
And then comes temperance. Temperance kept my hands steady and still.
That is the physical regulation piece. Temperance is keeping the hands from shaking, keeping the voice level.
It's overriding the desperate urge to throw a drink or make a huge scene.
So she's calm, she's steady, but then she does something that, I'll be honest, triggers my skepticism again.
What's that?
She walks up to him and says, I wish you well. And the lyric claims, I meant every word.
The ultimate Teflon move.
Is it, though? Because to a lot of listeners, that just sounds like letting him off the hook. If this person hurt you deeply, why on earth do they deserve your well wishes? Isn't that just spiritual bypassing?
I completely understand that reaction. It feels deeply unfair. But in the writer's room transcript, Ti-Fi goes really deep into the psychology of this specific line. She argues that forgiveness, or at least wishing someone well, is actually a purely selfish act.
Selfish? How so?
She uses the hot coal analogy. Holding on to anger, hoping the other person suffers, is like picking up a burning hot coal with the intention of throwing it at them.
You might hit them, you might not. but you are definitely burning your own hand in the process.
So the bitterness is what actually sticks to you.
Exactly. If she had started a fight in that hallway, she carries that toxic drama home with her.
And if she had run away, she carries the shame and the anxiety home.
By wishing him well, effectively saying, I release you, I don't want your energy anywhere near me, she stays completely clean.
So saying I wish you well actually translates to I am officially evicting you from my head.
Yes. It is about unhooking yourself. The lyric says, I didn't crash, I didn't burn. That's the real victory.
It's not that they miraculously became friends again. It's that she survived the encounter without capsizing her boat.
It's self-preservation cleverly disguised as politeness.
I love that. So we've survived the spilled coffee. We've survived the toxic ex. Now the song moves into the chorus.
And if the verses are the practical case studies, the chorus feels like the instruction manual, the actual toolkit.
It breaks down the mental mechanism of exactly how you achieve this non-stick state.
The lyrics go, I got the wisdom to see it clear. Got the balance to kill the fear.
Those aren't just pretty pop rhymes. Ti-Fi is referencing two core psychological concepts there.
Wisdom to see it clear is mindfulness.
Yes, which goes right back to the coffee stain.
Yeah.
Seeing the event simply as an event, not as a devastating story about your worth.
Observing the thought without becoming the thought.
Exactly. But balance to kill the fear is a direct reference to DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, specifically the concept of the wise mind.
Let's pause on that for a second. DBT is usually discussed in clinical settings for pretty serious emotional regulation issues. How does a pop song utilize DBT?
Well, the core of the wise mind concept is finding the balance between two opposing states of mind. You have the emotional mind.
That's the one screaming, panic, run away, throw a drink.
Right. And you have the rational mind. The one that coldly says, statistically speaking, you're in a safe environment.
And usually those two minds are just fighting each other constantly.
Constantly. The wise mind is the overlap in the Venn diagram. It's the part of you that can validate the emotion, saying, I feel really scared right now, while also checking the facts saying, but I am physically safe.
And then making a balanced decision, like I will stay at this party and be polite.
That specific balance is what kills the irrational fear. Is the adult in the room negotiating between a panicked toddler and a cold robot.
That is a fantastic way to put it, the adult in the room.
But then we get to the line that Ti-Fi claims is the most important lyric in the entire song. This is the actual coating on the pan.
I treat myself fair and sweet.
Fair and sweet. It sounds so simple, almost childishly simple.
But think about the basic physics of Teflon. What makes a pan sticky in the first place?
Scratches, abrasions, rough, damaged surfaces.
Exactly. And in this psychological metaphor, the scratches are self-criticism.
Oh, wow.
Ti-Fi's core argument is that you cannot be resilient to the harsh outside world if you are constantly beating yourself up on the inside.
If you spill that coffee and your internal monologue instantly screams, you stupid idiot.
You have just created a rough surface that negativity can easily stick to. You are actively validating the bad day.
So self-compassion isn't just about being nice to yourself. It's about maintaining structural integrity.
It creates that smooth, unbroken surface. If you treat yourself fair and sweet, then when the ex glares at you or the boss yells at you, it slides right off.
Because there is no internal hook for their negativity to catch on.
Yeah.
You fundamentally don't agree with their assessment of you.
That actually changes how I view positive self-talk entirely. It's not about vanity or ego. It's an active defense mechanism.
It makes you bulletproof, just as the song says. Not because you're wearing heavy armor, but because there's simply no friction.
Before we wrap up, I want to touch on the bridge of the song, because I think there is a real danger of misinterpretation here.
If people listen to this and think, okay, having a Teflon soul means I never get sad, I never get angry, I am just a flawless Zen master all day long.
Which is totally unrealistic, and Ti-Fi entirely agrees. She addresses that trap of perfectionism right in the bridge.
It's not about being perfect, it's about being awake.
Being awake. She references the recovery model of mental health here.
There's a big difference between the medical model and the recovery model, right?
Massive difference. In the medical model, the goal is to be totally cured. The symptoms stop forever and you never struggle again.
But the recovery model isn't a magical destination where the sun always shines.
No, it's about ongoing management. She says it's about catching the slide before the big earthquake.
Catching the slide.
You are absolutely still going to feel the anger rise. You're going to feel the sadness hit you. You aren't a robot.
But because you are awake, because you've practiced that wisdom and that balance, You notice the emotional slide happening in real time.
And you gently correct course.
You steer the boat back into the waves. You don't let the temporary slide turn into a catastrophic spiral.
The song ends with this really triumphant driving line, "I'm riding high on the status quo."
Usually people use status quo to mean things are boring or completely stagnant.
But in the context of mental health recovery, status quo means stability. It means reliability.
For someone who has spent years trapped on that chaotic pendulum, constantly swinging back and forth, simple stability feels like a literal superpower.
The liner notes describe this ending feeling as triumph and clarity. It's the triumph of finally being boring in the absolute best way possible.
It's the triumph of being the captain of your own ship.
So we've gone from a spilled morning latte all the way to a complete reconstruction of how we handle emotional impact.
It is a whole lot of psychology to pack into 3.5 minutes of pop music.
Let's quickly recap this Teflon blueprint for everyone listening. The core takeaway is that resilience isn't about carrying a heavy shield.
It's about creating a smooth surface where things simply don't stick.
And we systematically build that surface through very specific actions. We use prudence to check the facts and stop the catastrophizing spiral.
We use fortitude and temperance to regulate our intense physical reactions to stress and triggers.
We balance our emotional and rational minds to access the wise mind and kill the fear.
And, the most important one, we keep the surface smooth by treating ourselves fair and sweet.
Self-compassion is the essential coating. Without it, absolutely everything sticks.
So here is the real-world application for you, the listener, because the world is fundamentally designed to be sticky.
The news headlines are sticky, the social media comments are sticky, your stressful job is definitely sticky.
They are all just hooks trying to catch onto you.
But you have the power to apply the coating. You don't have to pick up every hot coal that someone tries to throw at you.
You can just step aside. You can check the clock and walk around the block.
I want to leave you with a final challenge for this week. It comes right back to that fair and sweet line.
We so often think that resilience starts with a loud battle cry, but Ti-Fi's blueprint suggests it actually starts quietly in the mirror.
It starts entirely with how you talk to yourself when absolutely no one else is listening.
So, if the most radically resilient thing you can possibly do is simply be kind to yourself, what is one thing you are holding on to right now?
A mistake, a regret, maybe a rude comment from a coworker.
What is that one thing that you need to let slide off today? Apply the Teflon.
Unhook yourself. Let it go.
And watch yourself go. Thanks for deep diving with us today.
See you next time.